falling in love. It's a difficult thing, complex, but rewarding. And I've had my fair share in the ups and downs of this life, love. One of the things that really hurts in love is when you love someone that you know you can't have. You already blew your chances, but she or he has already left that emotional imprint on you, and there's just no getting over it but by moving past it. There's a quote that I poorly remember, and it goes along the lines of, there are people that come into your life to change you, but then leave. There's some that stay. But yeah, ultimately, the goal is to learn from everyone. Some come and go and change you, something like that, or you change them and they go. Yeah, that's how it be. Regardless of failure or success, I don't personally believe that there is such a thing as. Well, I think there is failure and success, but I think it's more subjective than what we think it is. In my opinion, success is when you learn, and failure is when you don't. Regardless of whether you do lose in the competition, what determines if it is a success or a failure is when you learn or you don't. That's my take on that. And with love, personally, yeah, I told this woman that I loved her. But sometimes they won't reciprocate the same feeling, or you just had the wrong idea that they might have liked you, but in fact not. They're just being friendly. It's hard, but I always remember this. You always remember this as well. You don't. It's like you miss 100% the shots that you don't make. That's how I remember that. But yeah, that's how you learn. You gotta take the shots. This failure is the success. It's like Ryan Holiday's book, "The obstacle is the way." Stoicism. This and this and that. You gotta learn how to accept failure. You gotta learn how to come into terms with it, accept it, and ultimately get the satisfaction of learning. That should be our aim when it comes to these things. In love, honestly, a big part of why love is such a big thing for us is, well, we're emotional beings. It's in our nature to be gripped by our emotions. Honestly, what keeps us out from just becoming a wild animal is the logic that we have. But without it, we're just like any other wild animal. And thank God we got this logic, we got this brain that is capable of doing that function. But with that function, it's not no one is given the God-given gift of being able to control their emotions from the get-go. It takes practice. And how do you practice that? By taking the shots. And by taking shots, you're gonna have to miss some. Because ultimately, that memory that you had with that person will be the fuel that will help you drive to your goal and become more successful in that road ahead. And that's just how it is. You gotta be prepared for failure. But you also gotta learn, like, by preparing that you don't you better take note that you don't fall into the trap of being comfortable with failure, because that is more negative. It's destructive, rather. It's destructive for your growth. You gotta be prepared for failure, but you also gotta learn how to hate it in the process. Because if you don't hate failure, if you're not afraid of failure, then that's also dangerous, because you might not prepare. Because it's okay if I fail, it is what it is. That could be dangerous. You're not gonna prepare. You're not gonna do your best. It's not healthy. It's always about finding the right balance. It's love. In love, if you show too much interest, they fall back. They become overwhelmed. If you show too much of a lack of interest, well, they move on, right? And it's all about the push and pull game, and it's finding the balance. What works for you? What is your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And use it to your advantage all the time. And that's how it is. And yeah, final note: don't get too emotional, man. It's just you got. I promise you, you're gonna be able to move on from that. Give it a always think in a bird's eye view, and give it a few weeks, months, years, even. Look at it in 5 years and say, well, is this going to be a big deal still? Still, well, that's up to you to find out.